Miranda Richards, who played some music with me,
Yeah.
she can do that too. She can write in the dark, blindfolded, forwards and backwards, perfect mirror, simultaneously.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, very strange.
Is my mic okay? Or is it a little bit too loud?
Yeah, well, you know, whatever.
I can go a little bit further because I'm with my headphones. Or I don't have so much background noise.
It's okay, whatever you think.
But I don't know how it comes out on your end. I hear it perfectly.
It's loud, you know, but it's okay.
I can just do it like that. Ooh.
I always like to pretend that we're both on spaceships or something. Maybe I'm in a moon base and you're on a spaceship.
Yeah, pretty well.
I like that idea, like the little spaceships.
Mm-hmm.
When I was tripping out, I was thinking they should just send me to Mars because I don't care about people that much. I could just do my show.
Yeah.
I wouldn't get bored.
No.
I'd make it ready for everybody else, play some music, work on my little studio pod, but then do some work, whatever. Do the little science experiment, be back on TV.
And good no matter what planet it is.
Playing really good music.
Yeah, definitely.
Or just some music, something. A lot of times I don't know what I'm going to play. I don't care. It really doesn't matter at this point. I've heard so much fucking music in my life that it doesn't... I just know what I don't want to listen to.
Rock.
I don't like that stuff.
No, me neither. And even now with the new stuff, even when people say, well, you should listen to this and that, it's just, like what you said a couple of days ago, like the Horrors, the band.
Yeah.
I really sort of liked the first two albums, and now the third came out, and I really gave it a listen, and I was sort of looking forward to it, listening to some more commercial stuff, which I really like, which I might like.
Yeah.
But then I got so, oh my God, I got falling asleep listening to it, and everybody, and just when on Facebook, when I read from everybody, oh my God, that's the album of the year, and blah, 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 blah. It's just crazy. It's really crazy. And so I just say, okay, well, that's not my cup of joe, and just ignore it and go back to my music.
Yeah, the group thing is really scary, kind of. The peer pressure when people say things are good.
Yeah, but I think everybody has the guts. It's not like that there are 15-year-old kids on Facebook discussing about music.
No.
Mostly musicians, and when musicians say, oh my God, that's the best I've heard, like in a decade, that's okay. Good for you,
But you see, then that's so insulting. It's like, then you haven't heard anything.
Yeah.
But then,
and also just listening to the commercial stuff. Well, I'm really so thankful about the internet that, like 6 years ago, that it got so the chances that you have actually access to old stuff, private pressings, vinyl rips online, just to hear everything else, what was beside the Beatles going on.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, people at that time, they didn't have the chance listening on the radio to it, but...
It was regional.
Yeah, it was completely regional.
But completely, especially when you look, to people in these countries, they think that their country, they have a totally different perspective. Like, if you live in Netherlands or something, you're like, well, this is my country, right? But like all the Dutch freak beat and all the really good stuff, there's like, it's just amazing. Each little area had its own thing. Especially even when they were trying to make it psychedelic commercial, there was a time period where it was like, for just a short little while, maybe even though it was starting to get crazy, in 67, kind of in England, there was some really good stuff, and then everybody got on the bandwagon copying everybody. And then, but for a while they had those like producers and stuff and the tricks in every country. So there was like, for a little while there, even though it was completely corporate. If you're from Chile and you're one of these bands and it's recorded with the Mellotrons and stuff, you weren't some band in a garage just making it. Like, first of all, you're some fucking totally rich, like, landowning dude. You're in like the 0.0001% tile, Your family's like owns the country basically, and you have that luxury. Because even if you go there if you go to Paraguay or something today, you know, the vast majority of the population in a lot of these places, they don't have internet. Do you know what I mean? They're just dealing with the reality of working and stuff. So to have a Mellotron and have your record come out like the Beatles, you know, there's something in 1967, 68. It wasn't like you were some band that was rehearsing in the garage and just happened to score a Mellotron. Mm-hmm. And this production value with the string sections, you know, and the freak out box fuzz and all that stuff. You were actually like, do you know what I mean? You were like a total rich kid with the total connections. But having said that, even though those producers went all over the world, they went to France and made all that go-go stuff. Because, you know, Detrunk wasn't coming up with all that fuzz and all that stuff. That's producers. They were just following a trend. That's what was groovy, and they had a lot of money. But he did it so cool. But
absolutely,
for a little while there, it didn't matter what the corporations were trying to pull. When they were trying to catch up to the kids or the street, it was kind of cool. It was kind of cooler than shit when they were trying to copy and then just put all the kids out of business. Like, see, they just eliminated all the random stuff. See, the Beatles company, those guys were just opening up tapes that were passed and all that stuff. They had people scouting for those sounds. They didn't pick all that shit up by themselves and change along one step ahead of the trend that was already on the street. The Who and all those guys. See, once the record company signed a band like The Who, they didn't have any interest whatsoever in signing another band that was even remotely mod. Mm-hmm. So if like the major label had The Who, the Small Faces had zero chance in hell until Immediate gave them a deal, and they were way better, you know? Mm. They're like better live all the way around. It's absolutely amazing, man. Listen to those guys play. It's just such a better sound. Mm. But there's tons of those bands, the Eyes and everybody, you know, that were just so fucking good. So it's like crazy how good they were. You know, when you listen to the Eyes recordings, that shit. Mm. Or even listening to The Factory is like totally pop production, major label, whatever, and they were ripping off everybody, you know, like one of their songs they're like, what could we do to make our own I Can't Get No Satisfaction? Well, we'll just pile these other 3 hits right into it and make it a battle. It's just so much better than everything else, but the music business had that shit locked down, so that just went nowhere internationally. They're like, we already got a band like that. We got the Rolling Stones. We don't need you. Mm-hmm. You know? But the music is so fucking good. Like, when I listen to There She's Gone, whatever that song is, by The Factory, that I play, Gone. I think it's called Gone.
Yes, either or, I think.
It's so good. It's so slamming. And you could tell what they did is the drummer was no way near that good. And they just kind of like took out that whole rhythm section on their track that they laid down. You could tell that the real drums weren't even that good. And they just had like somebody who was like Wrecking Crew style, like so good at drums. You know, and they just played that one track over again. That was just like slamming on the beat with all the percussion. And it's just like unstoppable. But when you think about all the shit you have to hear, the Beatles all the time, and that exists at the same time the Beatles were making songs, and that song, when that song was made, that song is so much better than anything the Beatles were doing. They were already over. Do you know the Beatles were already dead by by 67. It was already over. Those guys didn't like each other. They just had people finishing things. I mean, what else came out? The White Album, you know, all that stuff, it's just like, it doesn't even compare to how slamming that other thing. But they just decided, well, that's enough of that fun. Mm. We got to do something lame now for everyone. Everybody's got to be on drugs and breaking up and dying. But it always amazes me, you know, like, am I boring you yet?
No, definitely not.
It always amazes me, like, if anybody even ever mentions Cream or something, I just go, how could you even open your mouth and say Cream when you could just as easily, I guess it's too many syllables to say Jimi Hendrix, right?
I don't know.
It's so much better. Man, that first Jimi Hendrix record is so much better. It's
revolutionary and everything. It's just so much ahead of the time.
Maybe it isn't, though. I think there's a lot of combinations, you know. And that was that was corporation. That was total big money that made that happen.
Mm.
You know, Chaz Chandler quit doing what he was doing and said, Brian Jones and Chaz Chandler got behind that shit all the way. There was some major weird shit I've read about Brian Jones tried to sign that stuff to the Rolling Stones label, wanted to have Jimi Hendrix, and the rest of Mick and those guys were like, there's no way we're going to start signing bands that are better than the Rolling Stones. Just fuck you. You know?
Mm.
But, you know, that was a corporation. Warner Brothers. Reprise or whatever? Warner Reprise.
Mm.
So, I mean, god damn. That music's so good you gotta get dead. You know?
Such an old age, yeah.
Something. But I always like wish that I could make up something like that. There's no chance in hell. It's just fucking good.
Never say never.
I'm way too old. It would just be scary.
You
gotta
try it?
Yeah, there's just so much going on with us recordings and everything behind it.
Mm.
Just the idea that you're going to get the top session player who doesn't even want to be a bass player. He's a guitar player, but he's a top session player. And you're like, no, you're playing bass. You want this job? Yeah, I want this job. Cool, we got this top jazz drummer. You know what I mean? And the best people in the world to record it on the best equipment, and Jimmy's great. So, you know, and you're on this label, so no problem. Some weird shit, you know. But these days it's so stupid, right? Everything.
Pretty well.
Pretty well. What are we gonna do when they make it so we can't post music anymore without basically paying for it on Facebook?
Well, I just read that a little bit in the morning. So it's basically that there are apps for streaming music then, and it's like that Spotify, which, thanks God, we don't have access so far here in Germany. It should be hip or cool, I don't know, but, well, I've got shitloads of music by myself, so I don't need Spotify at all.
Yeah, but they're going to make it so you have to, like, for any of this stuff, you're going to have to pay just like cable. See?
Really?
Yeah, it's just going to be just like if you have this Deutsche Telekom deal where it's your telephone and everything together. It's headed that way so quick. So basically, it's going to be fine for you to have your records in your little house, but you're not going to be able to interact with anybody with your shit.
And then even like uploading an MP3 somewhere and embed it, so that's not possible anymore, all that.
Well, the reason why we can't do that anymore, they're going to wait till they have everything. Right, they're on the MP4s. The reason why they're not going to have that is because we can't have Al Qaeda encoding something. See all these.
Yeah, but then also it's just rave rock bullshit.
I know, but you know what? Guess what? That's why we have to have a revolution.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why we have to destroy it.
Yeah,
that's why it must be killed. See,
it has to be killed.
You know why? You know that word that I called the playlist on YouTube?
Aufheben?
Do you know what that means?
Yeah, I pick up.
That's what we have to do. To preserve it, we have to destroy it. We have to simultaneously dismantle it to destroy it. Isn't that beautiful?
It's lovely.
I know, that's why I used that word. Do you think I'm stupid?
No.
But man, people are never going to get what I think about or you know what I'm on about. I guess it's too scary or something, right?
No, it's not scary. Just people should. Well, also, it's just so scary even when you just look at the charts, look at the German charts, what people are really listening to. And it just gives me shivers.
That's what I was just going to say. It gives me chills.
Yeah, it's so, oh my God, are you really serious? Or just, well, I've got a really, really good friend. We've been friends like...
Talk to me.
This guy? We've got him on the new Kinda Hot Dare sticks. Severe spice loss. Caught him ironing his jeans.
Disappointing.
Yeah. Put this one on the freaking Hot Dare when we found out he traded that for that.
Gross.
Yeah.
What about this guy?
This one? We had to rescue him from his ex-girlfriend's engagement party.
Yikes.
Sarah! It's not too late.
He's on the really freaking hot.
Hey! Get over it.
New Slim Jim Dare with 3 levels of heat. Made from stuff guys need.
In my friend. You know? It's called MGM, Mentally Gifted Minors, but I was in it when it was really early. really early on. I had special school, even though it was public school. I have to go year-round. And I'd have to do 1 hour every day of these special classes, but also one whole day a week. And I was, like making films when I was in 3rd grade. So,
Well, that's cool.
yeah, I was taking oceanography and all that stuff. I was taking college classes when I was like basically so young. Anyway, one time my mom, I guess when I was 12 or something, took me on a trip. His family moved him. His pop worked for the CIA and stuff, and then they ended up moving up into Oregon out in the middle of nowhere, because they didn't want to be around like just people. Even in like Newport Beach or whatever, they didn't like, or even in like Newport or on the edge there in Costa Mesa, they didn't like being around all the Mexicans and stuff. Right, growing up, like the Mexicans would live like in a certain part of town because they're the ones working for all the rich people.
Yeah.
But they didn't even want to be around any of it, because they were like, this is going downhill. This is not why we moved to the nicest place in America. So my mom took me up there to visit. And yeah, when I got, and I was already into the jam and everything, all that stuff, whatever was going on in England. I was already way into it, had the hair and everything going nuts by the time I was like 11 or, and all that stuff.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and then so I went up there and he was just listening to fucking like winding your way down Baker Street, like whatever was on the radio or something. Some of that really bad late 70s stuff. So bad. Maybe like Styx. Come sail away, come sail away. Could have even been worse than that. Could have been like fucking Peaches and Herb singing "Reunited 'cause it feels so good." And just whatever was on the, And I remember just sitting there in his room with him, trying to touch base because I hadn't seen him in a while, and we were best friends. And I was just like thinking for a minute to myself, and I was just going, "Man, you're fucking lost forever," Like you're gone. You've got you. You're on the other side for sure. I couldn't even believe it. I felt so bad for him. I kind of just excused myself and left. Is that funny? But when you just told me that story, I was laughing because that happened to me when I was like 10 or 11. Like my moment of like I'd left everybody behind. I was like, oh, you guys are fucking lost. It just gets worse and worse. And then there's the thing where everybody dresses like you and starts to act like you. Then that's weird. That'll creep you out too for a little bit.
Yeah, I would think so.
Thank God, it comes in phases. Then everybody hates those people, and then you get to rest for like about 10, 15 years or something, and then it comes back in a big wave. All of a sudden, people are nostalgic for that group of assholes again, and then you're busted. Then you can't find your clothes anymore in the shops because everybody's wearing them. It gets so bad, like I've been dressed in this way my whole life.
Yeah, pretty well. Your style is pretty constant.
Always. And then it changed a little bit in the early days of San Francisco sometimes because, I was so poor trying to pull that stuff off for a little while, for certain periods of time there, that, would be whatever the best thing I could find at a thrift store or something to throw on, So then it got a little bit squirrely, or my hair got a little bit longer because I couldn't even get it together to cut my hair or whatever. I was just too into recording and trying to make things happen. I wasn't worried about being like my friends. They're more worried about getting their style immaculate all the time. Never got around to writing any good songs or doing anything. Just breaking up their bands, and then do that about 10 times, and then you get to be about 30, and then your girlfriend or your wife says, "I want to redo the kitchen, you son of a bitch," and then your Vox goes up. Then their Vox goes up on eBay or something, and then I buy it.
For the kitchen, traded for the kitchen and everything.
That Star Streamer 12 string, the last one I bought was from one of the guys in Spaceman 3, And
Oh, cool.
he's like, I really hate to sell this. He said on eBay, I hate to sell this, but my wife is pregnant and needs to remodel the kitchen.
Fuck.
And we just wrote him a note.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was really pissed when he found out it was me, too. He was like,
Yeah.
he was hiding.
Mm.
Yeah, he didn't want to see anybody or anything. Because I sent my guy in England that works with me over to pick it up. Just drive up to Rugby, you know. And he was just wouldn't let him near the house. He's like, I'll meet you over here at the train station or something. It was really a dick, you know. And he was really in a bad mood, too, that it happened to be me that got it. Because he was just like, you know. Because I know all those guys. So I think
Just jealous. Just jealous.
it's just like, no, rats. It's that guy again. But, so that was funny. But, yeah, exactly, to remodel his kitchen. Then he lied because some things are wrong with it, you know.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think the wah-wah doesn't work. I was pretty pissed because he said specifically that it all worked.
Mm.
Then he pulled this thing. He's like, oh, but there's no battery in it. But trust me, it all works. It was like the last thing he said before the, you know, like, money changed hands.
Mm.
Then I plugged it in and it didn't work. And I was like, do I really have to drive over to Rugby and murder this guy over a fucking guitar? It's not over a guitar. It's over the principle. But there's nothing I could recycle him into, you know?
Mm.
Maybe plants would grow, but, you know, like, what kind of plants would you plant that would be worth a human life on top of? There's nothing.
Right.
I just have to let him be, you know? But I hate people like that.
Yeah, me too.
Especially with everything on eBay, like, it's competing with the stores. The stores don't even want to do anything, and then the stores just raise up their prices with the music gear or the hi-fi gear, because they're like, man, this stuff is vintage. Like, even the vintage shops are like, well, I saw that show on TV about the lady who turns around the Oxfam, and God, they're getting all kinds of money. That could be a valuable manuscript. It's like everything, you know? It's all vintage Levi's. No, these are fat people's pants. Trust me.
Yeah, definitely.
But vintage just means over 18 years ago, doesn't it? Vintage everything, right?
What was the cheapest guitar you bought?
Well, the first guitar that I really got, my grandparents gave me a little bit of money, a couple $100, because I knew this guy who was like, he was thinking about selling his grandfather's Gibson, 1967 Gibson ES335.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe he loaned it to me. Maybe he changed his mind, I can't remember. He's like, you can't fucking, I'm not getting this, give this away, you know? So that went away, but I ended up getting something. I ended up getting one of those, these airlines. I got like 3 of them up here.
Oh, cool.
Eventually, like, I guess, when I first got to San Francisco, one of my friends, these 2 guys, Pete from my neighborhood where I grew up, moved up there, and they got a warehouse with this other guy, Tom. And they, I think Pete loaned me this, like, Strat copy, like, the first couple months. See, the first guitar that I bought probably was the Epiphone Acoustic.
Mm-hmm.
I taught myself how to play on that and started doing 4-tracks, you know, and none of them, that and a little reverb box, you know. Like, to actually own your own stuff. I always had some keyboards and all kinds of weird shit for a long time. But then, I did a medical experiment in San Francisco. And it was really weird because I was doing drugs with one of my friends. We were doing serious bad drugs. Like, we were, like, smoking hash and doing smack. This is when I first started messing around with it sometimes with some of my really smart friends. One of my friends is, like, really into books and stuff and really, really super smart. And we played music and stuff. And we were sitting around doing that, and we looked in the back of a magazine. We needed some money somehow. And it was, like, medical experiment at the university. You know, we'll pay you, like, $2,500 to, like, go into the hospital for a day, and then you have to come back every day. Something weird. Then you have to come back one day a week, and then it's like once 3 weeks later, or something weird like that, for an experiment. So we had to go in there. It was like super healthy guys from 18 to 30 wanted to do this medical experiment, and so you had to go in there and do a drug test. The minute we get in there, they go, "You got to pee in this cup." We just look at each other because we'd just been doing drugs. And I was just like, fuck it, let's just pee in the cup anyways. So they hand us our cups. There's all kinds of people there, signing up for this because it's kind of a lot of money for just 24 hours in the hospital and then just take a bus over there, you know what I mean? So they can draw your blood and then go back, for several more days, So anyways, so we both go into the two bathrooms, like one each, you're by yourself. And I peed just a little tiny bit in the cup and then poured sink water in it. And walked right out there and he peed in the cup normal. We turned him in and then you have to wait. They call you up later, like a day later or whatever, and say whether you get the position, if you're going to be one of the subjects. And they just called him up and they said, "I'm sorry, you failed your pee test. You had drugs in your test." And they just said they called me up and they said, "You come in next week at this time." So I passed.
Perfect.
Yeah, and I was laughing because he really needed the money. Like I said, it was like $2,500 or something. So what it was some kind of asthma medication, and what they did. No, don't laugh. They took you in there, and the first thing they did is they put a tap in your arm, like a catheter, in your big vein, and then they take blood and then they shoot you up with this. They basically make you OD on asthma medication, some kind of speed, and then they just see what would happen if you OD'd, like how long it takes to completely leave your system.
Well,
yeah, so they're like, "Who wants to go first to put the catheter in?" And I go, "I will." There's like 30 people there, it's a big hospital ward with all these guys. And I walk up and I go in the room and they just do it, they put it in my arm and I walk out like, "Ah!" And I walk like I'm going to be sick. I'm like, "Ah!" And like 3 people just walk out. It was like, I can't do this. Because I just faked them out, I was just pretending.
yeah.
Like it hurt and that it made me sick. So like 3 or 5 people just walked away. They're like, "No, I can't go through this." Then I started giggling. But it was, I was just causing trouble. But so anyways, they gave me a bunch of money, and then I had enough money to buy a guitar.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. So then I had that for a while, and I would record and play shows, and then it got stolen.
Oh, damn it.
Yeah. Then I had to get another one somehow. And it was never the same. I even bought 3 of them that look like it off eBay, and none of them play great like I remember. Maybe I just didn't care back then that it was messed up and hard to play. Weird, huh?
Well, pretty weird.
Boy, I took too long to tell that story, huh? Don't you think?
No, it was actually quite interesting.
Some crazy story? Oh, you
Absolutely love it.
Oh, really? Why?
I don't know, I like listening to not the normal stuff, right?
Well, I very much had...
Well, then it's predictable. Then it's sort of predictable what the end of the story is going to be.
Well, also, a lot of people, they want something for nothing. Like, everybody talks about how they act like they really want to be able... They used to act like they really wanted to be able to make recordings and really want to be in a band and really want to do it for whatever reason. That's all bullshit.
Yeah, pretty well.
Because
you have to do something for it. Not just, it doesn't come to you for free.
Well, we used to say you have to climb the wall, swim the moat, whatever it takes, right?
Yeah.
If you're going into the castle, it's like, right? You'll dig underground, you'll climb the wall, you go cross the moat. Like when you're taking the castle, it's like you're either going to take the castle, you know what I mean, or you're not.
Mm.
So that was the kind of attitude we always had, and we knew people that were finishing their school, or do you know what I mean? Like they wanted to make sure they had a good job before they. It's like, who wants to listen to fucking music from somebody who plays it safe their whole life?
Mm.
Like, what do you have to offer? You're going to tell me to stay in school and brush my teeth? Else I'll be in trouble?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There's a lot of that stuff. But then it's getting so wacky, I guess I could tell you this. I could say this to you because you might understand. See, I really don't like SoundCloud and Bandcamp and all this shit. And I'll tell you why, because I think that if everybody's a rock star and everybody has a record by virtue of just pressing record, then nobody is a rock star and nothing is a record. They're just basically what it is it's an audio profile, and it goes along with your other fucking profile picture. It's like this is what it looks like. Here's my icon, and this is what it sounds like. Here's my Bandcamp.
And then you listen to 10 different bands on Bandcamp, and then they all sound the same.
Well, when people are using GarageBand and all this crap, and it's all like just it's convenience-oriented approaches. I'm not saying people can't do wicked stuff with that, but like I say, you should be a part of everything. Like it's really weird, Like even in Iceland, they're like, yeah, we got this thing. We want to we're a collective of bands that all want to make records independent of a third party. Well, so you're saying the party is between you and your collective, right? Well, that doesn't explain like me pressing shit out, or Outlier Records fucking putting it on their website, does it? That's a third party right there. So I don't even know what mumbo jumbo that stuff is, but that's okay. Anyway, like there's just like I spent like years and years and years every single night trying to figure out like how I could get recordings, how I could be able to play shows, and even have people come, how I could get gear. It's absolutely foolishness to think that you want to eliminate all that stuff. Why should anybody listen to your stuff? And then it becomes like everybody's like little subversive tricks, which is okay because I thought about this stuff a lot. About, like I never used to ask my friends to go to our concerts. We had a hell of a lot of people show up at our first shows. Like over 750 paid admissions first time we played. And it just went crazier from there. And I always thought about looking to get into contact with people that you don't know. Like, just forget about what you know, and how do you contact people that you don't know. Then I figured out immediately that I should concentrate on pretty girls, because wherever pretty girls go, you're even going to have a lesbian showing up. So forget all your fucking dumb dudes that you hang out with, and get out of your shell and think about that for a minute, and just like making it a girl-friendly environment, not like a meat market, not like some swingers party or something, right? Just like making everything okay, make sure everybody's okay, giving people a reason to do stuff together, out, And then the next thing that I knew immediately was like, it's absolutely in your own interest to help all your friends' bands and even people you don't know out. And the reason why it's very important to do that... Am I boring you?
No.
The reason why it's very important to do that is because you live in an ecosystem, and it's an organic model. So you're alive. You're not just a bar of soap.
No, definitely not.
Lady Gaga isn't gonna help anybody, really. In fact, they're going to argue against having a good show, because she has to be seen as value for money. So you're never even going to get the best night of your life entertainment, not even at a fucking festival. It's so bad. how these things work. But see, they'll never be like Anton's store, and that's the problem with people on Bandcamp and their fucking little dumb ideas about selling their shit online. See, because there should never be a store that just, it's like almost communist mentality, like, here's the one brand of shoe that you get to wear in the DDR. It's your shoe, right? We don't have it that way. Then there's never going to be a store for just the Black Angels. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if there was, everybody would get so bored. You got to be into all kinds of shit. So that's why, that's why I wrote, like, tried to help early on Life Attic, and even wrote some stuff for him. Like, said, like, hey, you guys got to listen to this. Yeah, I didn't ever look at it like competition. They actually threw down and they have a really good style, for what they do. I personally like to include more things, in my art, and I'm also interested in not being polished, but I think that they're great, and I admire people that can deliver like that.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Well, not really. They're fucking boring. If you've got a mind, they kind of are if you go to one of their concerts in a way, if you got a certain kind of mind, but they're really good for all the way. See what I'm saying? They're really good. But they're boring in a way that Spaceman 3 is fucking boring.
Yeah, well, it's the same way, like at least for me, at least for me, Dead Meadow gets boring seeing, because it's nothing new anymore.
No, isn't that it's nothing new? I mean, they were... The reason why I put out a Dead Meadow disc and helped those guys out is because I thought that people would like it.
They're awesome. They're awesome.
I thought more people would like them. I thought, well, people like Ozzy so much and all this other shit. Why wouldn't people like this? And part of it is because Jason's not a good singer. He's just Jason, I think. But they're good.
No, they're amazing. Just for me, when they're gonna play like next year in Munich again, I don't really have to see them anymore, because the last 4 or 5 shows I saw them, they were amazing, but I know there won't be coming anything new anymore. It's not. They put out a couple of albums, but it's not a climax anymore for me.
No surprises.
No surprises anymore.
Yeah.
I think
it's kind of an interesting thing, You can't please everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, when people just got into Dead Metal like a year ago and they see them the first time, it's like the holy cow, the show.
Yeah. I'm not getting down on anybody. I'm just saying what I think about.
No, it's not judging. I love Dead Metal, but just seeing them live, it's not like, boom, I'm not so thrilled anymore to see them.
See, the thing that I like about Jimi Hendrix, but more so about Brian Jones, is approaching like the whole fucking thing, even the blues, which I love is the blues. It's retarded. Do you know what I mean? It's retarded, right? But approaching it all is mind expanding. Like the whole thing as this trip, the whole thing is psychedelic and not just like a paisley shirt phase. See, I love that. Like where you can incorporate cellos or sitars or marimba. It doesn't matter. Anything. It's like the whole mindset is mind expanding. See, that's what I love. And so that's, that's where some things for me, like, aren't that interesting, I guess. Like ripping off the Jesus and Mary chain or playing with noise, just only noise. But I don't know.
Because then the noise,
Well, I'm kind of friends with Philly J and stuff, and the Place Very Strangers. I had to talk them into keeping that name. I've been knowing those guys for quite some time. But for me, that stuff is so boring in a way. It's so intense, right?
It's very intense. Well, I saw them the first time just on PsychFest.
Yeah, it's just rhythm and noise, though. See, I like.
It was just boom. It was a brain damage almost. Holy shit! What are you guys doing there on stage?
Talk to me.
This guy? We've got him on the new kinda hot dare sticks. Severe spice loss. Got him ironing his jeans.
Disappointing.
Yeah. Put this one on the freaking hot dare when we found out he traded that for that.
Gross.
Yeah.
What about this guy?
This one? We had to rescue him from his ex-girlfriend's engagement party.
Yikes.
Sarah! It's not too late.
He's on the really freaking hot.
Hey! Get over it.
New Slim Jim Dare with 3 levels of heat. Made from stuff guys need.
That was one of the nicest festivals I ever visited. Just
You like Texas?
Cool.
Does it remind you of Bavaria?
no, because it's just so Austin, and everybody says Austin is a huge exception. What the rest is of Texas.
You know they got Germantown. They got Germans in Texas.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of Germans in the States.
Oh yeah, but
And-
right outside of, like Johnson, Texas and stuff. Right outside of Austin,
Yeah.
in those plains there. Once you leave that little forest,
Mm.
those are all German towns.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
Mm.
They still have like beer gardens and everything from the 1880s and 1840s and stuff.
Mm.
Those are all German settlers. They're nuts about that stuff over there. It's crazy.
I don't know what that everybody finds so interesting about beer gardens and getting drunk in odd tents with shitty music. But if it's exotic for some people, then it's cool.
What, like Hofhaus?
The Hofbrauhaus?
Yeah.
Well, actually, I haven't been there since, I don't know, when I was a kid. But this year I went in again, and it was sort of neat and just mellow. And it was noontime, it wasn't so touristy. So it was quite fun. It had a nice vibe.
Last time we were there, we were at some other place down the street that was another family brewer that's been there for like 600 years. It's another weird place that isn't like a beer garden. It's more like a building where people eat and stuff, and they still make some drinks and stuff. And, you know, like Frankie and those guys, Frankie and Ricky was there, and he's like, I want a shot of tequila. And they're like, we don't have tequila here. We've got a whiskey.
One whiskey and
We have
probably
one
one.
whiskey. Yeah. We have one whiskey and we have our own schnapps, yeah. But then, you know, and Frankie's like, and Ricky's like, yeah, I'd like a hot chocolate, you know, then. And they're like, we don't have a hot chocolate. And they're getting so weird with the guy. It was like so embarrassing because they're, you know what I mean? I was like, this place has been here for 600 fucking years. Even through the bombing, this place, Hofbrauhaus, got nailed. This place didn't. It's been here for 600 years, this building you're sitting in. And they still have their recipe of their beer, the other beer, right? You know, because it's down the street. It's like the other beer. These guys have been making the same yeast that they're making this beer out of from before that. You know, it's the same actual organism. And you guys are just being such fucking dickheads. I have to leave now. I can't sit here with you guys.
Stubborn.
They're just being total dicks to people. So, what's up with you guys?
Especially when there are so many tourists flooding in. Sorry, I put a little bit pressure on my cigarettes.
Yeah.
It's just
smack your bitch up.
some places are really odd.
Yeah. So this is your favorite time of year, right? You're like a pig in shit.
Yeah.
It's like
normally I'm not here at that year of time.
you always leave. Do you rent out your little spaceship pod?
Yeah.
Do you? Do you rent out the house to guests?
Yeah. Here? From here?
Yeah, for like if it's Oktoberfest, you just like put your house up on like Craigslist, like come stay for Oktoberfest because I hate Oktoberfest.
Well, that would be the perfect party here.
Really? You told me you just said you live in the forest.
Yeah, pretty well.
So
But I'm too far away from Munich, so it wouldn't be so convenient for the people to commute that. It's still half an hour drive.
You're like in another country.
Mm-hmm.
See, I could drive in a car for a half hour and I'd be in Poland right now.
Yeah. Well, I have to drive 1 hour and a half, and I'm in Austria.
So, you know what? So why do Bavarians hate the Prussians so much? Because you know what? The Prussians got a bad name from fucking the Bavarians.
Yeah.
The Prussians never did jack shit to anyone.
No, they were just smarter, and then the Bavarians get pissed. I think that's pretty simple. And then when you don't speak that fancy language here,
Yeah.
which I don't speak, so when I'm somewhere else, oh my God, you're really from Bavaria and you grew up in a little cow village here? And I said, yes, I did, with Humpa Humpa music and just a maypole and a little grocery store.
Yeah.
That's still the place where I'm at.
Yeah.
So you don't hear it, but even I have problems sometimes understanding the people. So, what?
You know, even the kids in Blue Angel Lounge, when we were down last time we were in Bavaria,
Yeah.
some guy was trying to talk to him in German, you know?
Uh-huh.
Somebody that watched the band, and Melster, Dennis, like, goes, I can't even fucking listen to your stupid mouth. He's like, do you speak English? And he's German, you know? His, like, English isn't even spectacular. But he refused to talk, to let the guy speak to him in German. He's just like, your mouth is full of marbles or something. I can't even understand what the fuck you're saying. Speak English.
Mm-hmm.
He never does that. He wasn't trying to be like, hi, I'm cool, you know, I'm in this band. Like, one of those two couldn't even understand each other at all. And he's just from, like, Little Hagen. And he's like, I don't understand what language you're speaking. You're not speaking German. So fuck you. If you want to talk to me, you have to talk in English, I guess, because I don't understand you. And I was just sitting there in shock. I was like, what the fuck is going on with you, crazy kooky?
Yeah, but I'm not such a... my language police in my brain is not such a Gestapo, but even in Bavaria, I think there are around 6 or 7 different dialects. Okay. And when that's the lower Bavarian, it's really, really tough to understand. It's just like an idiot or retarded person is talking to you. Or Franconia, take Franconia. Well, my parents grew up there, and sometimes some Franconian coloration smuggles into their lingo, but it's really tough. So just for me, I would laugh all the time if I was around those people all the time, because it's just... They make everything small. Take like a soup is not a soup, it's a little soup, or a girl is not a girl, it's a little girl. And they always put those different...
Yeah.
You just modify the word a little bit, and then something really turns really small, and that's just stupid. I don't get it. My grandma, it was, well, we laughed a lot when we were kids, but just sometimes you couldn't hear it anymore. Speak German, Grandma, right?
Weird. Yeah, well, that's just like the South and all those places where those people talk. And then, Jesus, I don't see what the attraction is with, especially in the UK, the crazy language. The people are talking the gutter pigeon, you know, English.
Yeah.
Like Caribbean style. So bad, like they take, you know, like text talk and make it even worse.
Yeah.
Urban Caribbean text talk. So bad. Like, we live in such strange times.
Even the French people, I just looked up because I couldn't understand a few abbreviations in French, and there's a whole site about the most important ones. And so, holy shit, just really H and 8 and what little things just to squeeze in the maximum information into text messages or something else, or in chats. I wouldn't get anything. It's just a completely loss of the whole language.
I can understand a little bit of it, but we live in some really strange times.
Yeah, everything has to go fast. It seems.
It's not going fast, man. People are so fucking boring. It's like, they're so boring. Things don't, you know what I mean? It's like going slow. It's going so slow, it feels like it's dragging.
Yeah.
Just the time for me is passing because my perceptions. But it's like, you know what? Like watching these like teenage people, superstars, grow up and lose their shit and then go away.
Mm.
You know, it's like is that all there is now?
Yeah, probably it is. It's a big hype, big showdown, and then bye-bye.
Oh, so what's Katy Perry going to do to trip everybody out? What's going to be her fall from grace?
I have no clue.
Somebody going to reach out like when she's like going on the red carpet and go to grab one of her boobs and it'll come off and then she's a lizard?
That would be something.
Like she pulls off her mask and she's a lizard and everybody just goes, no! And they start screaming and screaming and screaming. She goes, but wait. Unzips it again. She's Paul McCartney. And then everybody's like, no! And then he goes, pulls it off and it's really the Queen of England.
Yeah, maybe.
And then,
or maybe Camilla Parker Bowles or whoever.
And it just sits there for like the next 5 years pulling masks off and you're just like, every single minute you're just like, oh my god, I did not expect that one to be next. No?
Mm-hmm. It could be.
Alright, I'm trying to think of something good to say. We probably talked long enough.
Yeah, we did a good score this time.
Let me see how long have we talked. Let's see what this says.
5-5-5-5.
Okay, we can talk for 5 more minutes, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
so
no problem.
So I still have no clue what to write about my thesis because I was talking to you about that in July, I think.
Yeah.
But, I really have no clue.
Really?
So I wanted to, I'm not really good, that's the problem. I hardly put myself through all the certificates. And now you really have to write something serious. And there was one institute which is actually connected to one of the university hospitals in Munich. Mm-hmm. And they sounded quite cool. And I did a seminar there and something as another course. But unfortunately, they have no vacancies right now for a thesis. Yeah. So I have to rechannel a little bit. But it doesn't really matter when I started it. Just from the time when I say, okay, I'm going to start, then I've got 6 months' time. And when I want to go to Austin, so I'm already planning a little bit, when I want to go to SciFest next year again, so probably the best thing is to start it then in November or December, then I don't have to finish my thesis in Austin.
Wow.
But, probably it's going to be much programming, and I have not much clue about programming.
Oh.
And so it's going to be tough, but, I survived so far, and then I can put the master's degree in the toilet or somewhere.
Write a thesis on why we don't want to bail out the EU.
I would love to do that, but it has to be something different.
I know.
Or even like just having some data from some hospital or whatever. It's not easy like that, so I really have to take a topic from the bosses. So
yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, I've got time, so.
Are you going to come up with something, you think?
Maybe. I just have to kick myself in the butt a little bit and just... Because there's actually just 2 chairs which would be candidates for writing there, and the one, she's pretty trippy. She's like 35, has already 5 kids. She has 10 doctor titles, junior professor, and all that shit. She did that just while being pregnant all the time, and her publication list is just massive. I just maybe read one article and have to and give it to a really smart person and say, is there anything wrong with that article? And maybe do some corrections on her stuff. I don't know.
Funny. Just rip her stuff up to pieces.
Yeah, that would be funny, but actually, yeah, it would be probably, I have to maybe validate a method, how to analyze genes or proteins, something like that. So that microarray data, which is on that little microchips, and there are special methods and statistics for it, and you always can improve some algorithms. I never wrote one by myself. I just read about them, but there are algorithms who can calculate that. So I just have to tweak a little bit around and do some simulations. Listen to music in the meanwhile.
Yeah, definitely.
Have a couple of smokes. Grab my guitar and practice.
Yeah? How's your guitar coming along?
Not so good. Well, it's just really for home thing because I had I played piano like for 12 years, but just classical stuff. And then I got a guitar, but then I really got problems with my left wrist all the time, so I had a few surgeries on it.
Well,
and so I hardly could.
I hate to cut you off, but we've been talking for an hour.
I know. Oh my god. Anyway, now my wrist is good, and
Mine's not.
Well, I've got a little Huckstrom here and old acoustic guitar. So for the beginning, it's a nice baby kit.
Yeah, I like playing music sometimes. All right. Well, thanks for visiting.
Yeah, thank you for telling.
Yeah, well,
Great stories.
We both told stories, right? That's sharing.
Absolutely.
Well, have a good night.
You too.
I'm gonna continue to mess around. I'm gonna see what's going on in the world. Let's see.
Perfect.
I don't know how long the show's gonna last, but I'll figure something out.
Cool.
I got nothing better to do. It's nighttime.
Me never. Just chilling in the country.
Yeah, I don't want to go to bars and stuff and hang out and drink Coke.
My Coke at home tastes better.
Well, it's fucking gross anyways.
Yeah. I've got juice. I've got a cool juice. It's Bavarian juice.
Yeah, well, I'm drinking this fucking Sauerkircher.
Sauerkircher is good.
Yeah, it's really good. I mix it with water.
Yeah, or just sparkling water is fine.
Yeah, it's really good. That's what I like to drink.
Yeah, me too. Haven't drank a beer since ages.
Black cherries are great.
Cool.
Oh, with the Munich, you got the fucking flag and...
Yeah, that was at the discounter like for 50 cents.
I know, but look how like tribal.
Yeah, it's completely tribal. One more for the show.
Yeah, we use this Honersee, I think it's called. That's it up. Crazy, you've got your own crazy Bavarian juice.
Mm-hmm. Probably you don't get that in your Aldi in Berlin.
No way, they won't have it. I wonder why.
It won't leave the border. It won't leave the Weißwurst border.
Oh yeah, huh? Too bad. Oh well. Alright, well take care.
You too.
Okay.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Cheers.
Wink. Funny stuff.
That's TV. We are the radio. That's TV.